In an interview with Bloomberg Businessweek, Apple Inc. CEO Tim Cook said that the company will invest $100 million to bring built manufacturing infrastructure to the U.S. Now, the move is estimated to produce approximately 200 American jobs. Apple, along with a number of electronics and consumer goods companies, started to shift manufacturing overseas to developing nations such as China in the 1990s in order to take advantage of lower labor costs. Now, as labor and transportation costs are rising, an industry trend to move manufacturing away from China has started to appear. Now, one option for manufacturers is to follow the cheap labor, which will lead them to places such as Vietnam and Pakistan. The other option, one that Apple seems to favor, is to move manufacturing back to the country where the design originated and where the majority of sales are expected to be transacted. Another bonus for bringing facilities and thus jobs back to the home country is the tax breaks the company is likely to enjoy. So, seemingly good news for the manufacturing sector in the U.S., but what does the move mean for China? And what are net users saying about the announcement? Let's take a look at some net users' comments to see what the buzzing is about on Weibo.
So does that mean the price of a Mac will rise even higher in the future? Perhaps Apple is planning to only sell their products for the U.S. market. In my opinion, I think the reason why Tim Cook would make such a decision is not related to reducing costs. I think the main reason is because Apple wants to ensure a reliable supply for the North American market. After all, Samsung has become a big competitor in the U.S. for them. To be honest, I always feel worried about products that are made in China. In my mind, the Made in USA label is a guarantee for quality. For example, there is a real difference between Dell computers that are made in China versus ones made in the USA. No matter where this product is made, we always get the one that is of inferior quality and yet higher price. We are being tricked by foreign companies. If they want to move out, let them.
But it's not only the U.S. companies that are moving manufacturing jobs to the U.S. Chinese computer giant Lenovo Group is planning to open and operate a computer assembly plant in Whitsett, North Carolina, starting next year. And according to Mark Stanton, Lenovo's director of global supply chain, Lenovo's assembly line facility will cost the company about $40 million, creating 100 jobs with the possibility of expanding in the future. And now let's hear from some net users who are largely in support of the move.
It seems that China is moving from being the world factory to being the world market. Well, I think it's good to see these manufacturing jobs leaving. After all, the pollution in China is getting quite serious. It was all just a matter of time. With rising labor costs, China's labor-driven economy was bound to become a capital-driven one. Moving manufacturing facilities away is not a bad thing. But when there are reforms, there is always blood. In the beginning, it won't be easy. When foreign companies first moved factories to China, they came to take advantage of cheap labor. Now, as these companies are making the decision to leave, we begin to question our capabilities and manufacturing know-how. In my opinion, the move is a good thing. I think this gives Chinese companies a good chance to develop. I guess we'll have to wait and see who will emerge the winner.
Experts have emphasized that the latest Apple announcement is likely not a signal for a mass migration of manufacturing jobs to the U.S. Michael Hasler, the Associate Academic Director for the Supply China Management Center at the University of Texas, told Bloomberg that, quote, there is some PR aspect to it, and there's also a lot of data out there that shows it can make good business sense from a manufacturing perspective to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. Apple's operations in China has been faced with criticism in recent years. Foxconn, the Taiwan-owned factory that produces Apple components, saw a string of suicides in 2010, which called into question labor conditions at the factory. Another reason that it may be more economically sensible to bring manufacturing jobs to the U.S. is improvements in automation and machinery, which dramatically cut down on human labor. The U.S. Labor Department data shows that the U.S. has gained nearly 500,000 manufacturing jobs since January of 2010. And according to estimates from the Boston Consulting Group, the U.S. can expect to see manufacturing jobs increase by 2 to 3 million by the end of the decade.